our Chief, Malik Aziz.
Good afternoon. Malik Aziz, Chief of Police, Prince George's County. Today at about 11:20 a.m. Here at Potomac High School, a football game was taking place around 7-year-olds. About that time, two individuals who were in the stands in between games that were being played had evidently became involved in a verbal altercation. These two individuals at this preliminary stage of the investigation appeared to know each other. That disturbance, that verbal altercation, escalated into one individual producing a weapon and shooting that individual. He also shot another individual, a young person 5 years old, and shot them, and they are suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. The adult is a male, and that adult is deceased. They were both transported to local hospitals where the young person, 5 years old, is receiving treatment, and the investigators are talking to other individuals associated with the decedent. What is important to know out here today is that these two individuals did not appear to be strangers to each other. They appear to be at this stage to know each other and bring some issue that occurred outside of this game and brought it to a game where young people, 7-year-olds, were playing a football game, out enjoying this beautiful day with their families, and for an event that was raising funds and awareness for one of the individuals who was in attendance, who was suffering from something that was life-threatening to himself, and that incident occurred out here. So it doesn't appear at this time that anything that was happening on the field or related to this football game was related to this altercation that took place. And so our homicide unit, diligently working leads. We're asking anyone with further information, or quite a few people who left here today have information, to talk to our homicide unit. Our gun crimes unit is on location. And to put those things together with our federal partners, the ATF and the FBI, who we work hand in hand with to make sure things of this nature that are violent in nature, that we bring them to a successful resolution, a conclusion. We do want to, make sure today could have been one adult is deceased, and a 5-year-old is in the hospital suffering from a gunshot wound. And the high proliferation of weapons to resolve our disputes with weaponry is escalating, and we would ask that everyone involved treat this with the type of level it should be treated as. So if you have information, make sure you contact Prince George's County Police Department so that we can bring this to the proper resolution, because we don't want any type of violence like this happening in our schools on the weekend on such a beautiful day. With that said, I'm going to invite up our county executive, Miss Angela Also Brooks, right next to me, and let her have a few words.
All right, good afternoon. I'd like to first offer our very, very sincere condolences to the family of the victim who was here at the game today, who lost his life on what is Father's Day weekend. This is a really, really sad and tragic day for our community, and we certainly want to offer our condolences to that family, as well as to express our ongoing concern for the young child who was shot during this game as well. We are hearing, thankfully and prayerfully, that the child who was shot in this incident is going to recover. It looks like the injuries are not non-life-threatening injuries, and so we are prayerful for that child's full recovery, and again offer condolences to the family. I want to thank Chief Aziz and thank the police department also for their really excellent response in this particular tragedy. We are heartened to know that the department had already taken the proactive steps of creating a new gun unit, and that gun unit allows us to collaboratively respond to these incidents along with the FBI, the ATF, and others. And so we are really constantly creating new tools to give us the ability to investigate these cases. What I can assure you of is that this department is so excellent that they will absolutely bring closure to this case. We expect to apprehend a suspect in pretty short order, and will bring to close this particular case. But the reality is, and I want to thank the state's attorney who is here today, Aisha Braveboy, thank also State Senator Anthony Muse who is here. The work that we have to do in this moment is not just reactive. We really have to continue as a community, and we have to do so in partnerships with neighboring jurisdictions to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to remove guns from our communities. This particular dispute today, one that years ago would have resulted in someone punching someone else in the nose, now because of the presence of guns and because of the easy access that too many people have to guns, becomes violent and tragic. And so the work that we have to continue to do is to not only bring to justice, which we will absolutely do, the person who committed this really heinous and depraved act today, but we are also committed, and we will do so again, not only with the state's attorney and with our senator, but with our delegation and others, continue to work to bring about the sort of gun legislation and other things we need to get these guns off of our streets. And so I'm going to, at this point, hand over to our state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy, for her comments.
Oh, thank you, Madam County Executive in Chief. You know, today we're celebrating Juneteenth throughout our county, and it's such a tragedy that something like this happened on a day of celebration of our culture here in our great county, really around the world. You know, my heart goes out to the victim in this crime who lost his life and his family, to the young person who was injured here today, but we know that that person will recover. But there were so many children here today and families, because that's what Prince George's County is. We are a community of families, and those families were here today to celebrate, to watch their young people enjoy their favorite sport, and to have this happen is absolutely tragic. This will impact them for the rest of their lives. I am absolutely confident, as our county executive said, that this case will close. I want to thank the chief and his homicide unit, as well as the new gun unit, for working so closely with our office. Our office works with them when these cases come in. We have a strategic investigations unit that was started under Ms. Elsa Brooks that works collaboratively with our police department to investigate and also to prosecute these cases. We have a very high conviction rate in our gun cases as well as in our homicide cases, and we will pursue this case vigorously. There is no excuse for what happened here today, and through our prosecutions, we will tell that story. Also with us is Senator C. Anthony Muse, who represents this area here in Prince George's County.
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry that we're here for this occasion. It's very sad. I have represented this area as a senator for over 22 years. It's a safe area. It's an area where people feel family-oriented. But every now and then, something like this happens above the norm, and it's very sad. It's sad because today, if they've not yet been notified, somebody will be notified that their loved one who simply went to a game is not coming home. That's very sad. I have confidence in our public safety officials. I have confidence in our county executive and confidence in our state's attorney that this person in the end will be caught and will certainly pay for what they've done. And so we continue our prayers for this whole district that I represent. Our prayers go out to everyone affected by this, and we'll continue to work together to make sure that fewer and fewer of these things happen again.
We'll take a few questions. Remember, this is a very preliminary investigation. So, Chief, hi, Dave Lavelle with DC News Now. In terms of the suspect, can you tell us, is it an adult male, female? You mentioned that.
Yes. Well, that's the preliminary information, that they had a verbal interaction that would indicate that they knew each other, and the issue that they were disputing about was brought in from the outside, whether that was in person or was it in some type of social media context, but we're investigating that part of it now. That suspect, right now, they're working leads. We have some promising leads. As you heard mentioned, our homicide unit and our gun crimes unit, they are some of the best detectives that this nation has to offer, and they are putting together that information right now, along with our federal partners, that the individual who is responsible for this, that we will bring that individual to justice. We have a great belief now that we will bring that individual to justice who was watching a football game here with another individual enjoying this game until that dispute happens. So we're working through those issues right now. Just beyond me, our crime scene, they're putting together the information there, so it will help our detectives a little bit more to bring this issue to resolution. I will say this, because I know the reach is wide. I will say to people who hear this or see this, that who know who did this today, that they talk to that individual or they tell us the name, because we're going to find out, so that or that person turns himself in right now, today, so that we can bring some resolution to an affected family on Father's Day weekend. And so, because we're confident on that, our investigators are some of the best detectives that this United States has to offer in policing, and they will find you. They will find you.
Chief and County Executive, just from the past 24, 48 hours, there are several families in Prince George's County, Accokeek, and up here in Oxley Hill that are getting the news that some loved ones won't be coming home. Yesterday, we talked to people in Accokeek, who I don't know if we have a suspect for yet or not, but said we can't even come out to a car event anymore because you can get shot there. What do you say to those family members who just want to have a fun time, like on a Juneteenth weekend, and are afraid about that happening?
And I'll let the county executive start, first, because I want to shore this up and bring these issues home. You want to talk? Okay. Well, let me say this, because right now, today, and I know these things are closely related. Today, we're here. An individual lost his life here today. Senseless violence today at a football game, lost his life. A 5-year-old is in the hospital right now receiving treatment. That is the reason why we're here right now. And I want to make sure that our focus remains on that. With that said, condolences to the families out in Accokeek and what happened there, and a subsequent homicide that happened just after that within the last 48 hours. And I would say to our residents, Prince George's County is a safe place to live. We have our challenges and we have our issues, but this is where it comes into play that community and police work together to resolve these issues. We can't do anything without the intelligence and information of our greater community who want to see an end to senseless violence. And that's what we've been doing so far, working with the community. When we mentioned car meetups, and this car meetup that you just spoke of was not the traditional type of car meetup. This was a normal event that have been taking place every Thursday night for as long as anybody can remember. Now, on a shopping center parking lot. And I will say this, that the individuals who are involved to the ownership of those places, the greater majority of that has said, I do not want to have those events on my parking lot for a reason. And the reason is liability reasons, because all it takes is one person to show up and disturb a peaceful event, what happened here today, and cause a traumatic response to families. And that's what happened in Accokeek. So regardless of how peaceful those have been in the past, you put several hundred people together and you bring all those things into place, a small environment, and one person who carries a weapon, what you heard the county executive say, the weaponry, the resolving of conflicts, through ill-gained emotions, and that response is the reason why. But I would say even for Accokeek, just like you heard the senator say about right here, these are safe places to live, work, and play, and we must meet the challenges of violence with everything we have in a partnership.
But in the case of today or on Thursday night, were there ever police officers there to be proactive instead of, like the county executive said, like reactive? Was there anybody there to be able to break up stuff before it got to that heated level?
On that particular case that you're talking about, The incident has been going on for Thursdays. There have been 0 complaints there. We don't even have 911 calls from that location in any type of heightened sense that it was an issue out there. The community would have been the first to alert us. The people who were gathering at that location would have been the first to alert us. That indication of a low volume of calls over years would indicate what I just said. There was not an issue there, and one person turned that bad, which is why we don't want it. We don't have issues at these football games. You have parents who are people watching a game, not just parents, who come out to a game. They've been watching these games peacefully, but yes, we do have verbal, issues, altercations at all sporting events where people, adults too, in major arenas and other places, who get into it with each other over conflict. What we don't normally see is this level of violence where a person produces a weapon, aims it, shoots it recklessly with children around, with adults around, and kills another individual and injures a small person. That's what we usually don't get. But this event right here was not that type of event. It did not occur out here. But we have to meet those events. What we'll be doing, looking at what happened out here today, and after action reports, making sure that we had the proper people who were here, making sure that we work hand in hand with our school district, which we do, making sure we work hand in hand with Maryland National Capital Parks and Planning. All of us form a united team, along with the government officials, the elected officials, and the community. That's a comprehensive response to the senseless violence that took place in the day. And I think we tend to try to make sense out of an individual committing an act of violence. That individual did it. They did it. They turned a peaceful event violent. The car meetup, which we shouldn't be having, but an individual turned that incident violent. So the people who are responsible for this, who needs to be held accountable, are the people who use that weapon to take a life. Make no mistake about it. But anyway, the county executive did not answer. So
Well, I think you're
okay.
Are there enhanced penalties for crimes on school grounds with guns, state or county?
Yes, we do have those. Yeah. If you want one of our people here to talk about it, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
schools are no gun zones, so there are absolutely enhanced penalties, and we will pursue those in this case as well.
Okay.
What can you tell us about the event itself in terms of who was hosting it? Was this a charity event? It sounds like that.
Well, there's a not-for-profit organization that holds football events throughout this county. They was holding this event here today as a fundraiser for an individual who was very significant in this founding of youth football. And that's what they were here today for. This is out of season. These were multiple teams who were playing. This was in between the games. That's what they was here for today. It appears at this preliminary stage that they've done everything that they needed to do. There were people here, peaceful, 30 to 40 people. They were having a good time. They're watching a game, enjoying their young relatives play. And then there is some security was on force, but there was no police here, but security here. That didn't stop that individual from producing a weapon and settling in a dispute with young people around and adults around. That's what
Time to
happened.
start potentially.
Thank you very
asking
much.
that question
This is a
about
good-
being an event.
Let me answer this one thing, because this will help you to I think this is what you're getting at. This event wasn't sponsored by the school system today. It was a park and planning. It's a Maryland National Capital Park and Planning sponsored event. So the regulations and requirements for an event like that are different from school-sponsored events. So when Maryland National Capital Park and Planning sponsors the event, the requirement is that they should have security, which they had here today. If it was a school-sponsored event, then police would have been required to be on the scene. So that's why what the difference is that it's based on the regulations around who sponsors the event. And this was a Maryland National Capital Park and Planning sponsored event. This was not a school system sanctioned or sponsored event, which is why the Prince George's County Police Department was not appropriate to be the entity that was here.
Thank you, County Executive.